Welcome to Cosmic Scene with Jill Jardine. I'm your host, Jill Jardine, Masters in Counseling Psychology, longtime astrologer, psychic healer, and yogi. In today's episode, my guest is Suzanne Ross. Suzanne Ross is a spiritual counselor, psychic intuitive, inspirational author, motivational speaker, and sci-fi TV producer. She's also the founder and host of the Sedona Ascension Retreats. You're going to want to stay tuned to hear what she has to share. Welcome to the episode featuring my guest, Suzanne Ross. Suzanne Ross is a spiritual counselor with over 25 years of experience. She has coached thousands of people, enhancing their mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual well-being, allowing them to become the highest version of their best self every day and in every way. As a spiritual counselor, Suzanne creates a safe and sacred place within her clients where they can openly share thoughts, stories, beliefs, fears, dreams, and aspirations. As a channeler, Suzanne has the ability to tune into higher intelligence, spiritual guides, or one's higher self. She can remotely access your Akashic records, ignite your energy centers, and activate innate gifts, skills, and abilities that allow one to serve at the highest potential possible. In this way, she unleashes full potentials, clearing any blockages or limitations so one's creative expression can flow freely. Suzanne is a compassionate coach and caring mentor who's passionate about healing the emotional body, balancing the karma, clearing the energy field, and realigning her clients to their divine purpose. She can tune in to their highest self, access the soul, and reunite fragmented selves in multiple dimensions of time-space. She can reconnect her clients with their star families and ignite star seed DNA. Suzanne can also activate dormant DNA strands and ignite superhuman potential in her clients. Suzanne is also the event producer, host, and organizer of the Sedona Ascension Retreats. You can find her at SedonaAscensionRetreats.com, or her personal website is SuzanneRossTranscendence.com. It's my honor and pleasure to welcome Suzanne to Cosmic Scene. Welcome, Suzanne. Such a pleasure to have you here on Cosmic Scene with Jill Jardine.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Jill. I'm so delighted to be here today.
Yes, we're so glad to have you and can't wait to hear what you have to say to our listeners. I wanted to start with talking about you and your work and how things have evolved to make you the host of the Sedona Ascension Retreats, as well as all the other offerings that you put out into the universe and help people with. So we want to start with your process and how you got into this work, Suzanne.
Thank you for asking, Jill. Yes, I've been on the path for decades now, and certainly things have evolved over time. I had a powerful spiritual awakening experience on a mountaintop in the desert, almost 30 years ago now. And that really shifted my life from being a corporate executive to being on the spiritual path and tuning into the field of wellness. So in this very profound experience, I was literally aligned with my higher self and aligned with my true calling in a moment. And as such, over a course of a couple of weeks, just completely shifted my life from being a corporate executive on the East Coast to being a healer in the desert of Southern California, and have never looked back. Even though there's been an evolution, it's still a matter of health and well-being that's just taken on different expressions over the years.
Right. And back in the day, you were a pioneer, I was a pioneer, and it's so nice that the collective has caught up to us. So now you're positioned, and I understand that you help lots of people in capacity as a spiritual counselor, psychic intuitive, and other ways. So you were called into service over 30 years ago, and you're where you need to be right now. And it sounds like it continually is evolving for you. Do you want to share a little bit about where you are now as you've come along your path and what's unfolded for you and how you might help people who now are awakening or looking for resources such as yourself?
Thank you. Yes, over the years, I served in the field of wellness, and initially it was as a personal trainer and nutrition coach. And then as things progressed, I started adding yoga and just became more spiritual. But all those years as a personal trainer and nutrition coach really gave me a lot of experience counseling people, because if you ask any personal trainer or nutrition coach, there's a lot of counseling that goes along with that. And over the years, you really learn what the most effective techniques are, what feedback is most useful, and just really tuning into like where people are at mentally, emotionally, and even spiritually and physically. And so now that I'm much more focused on just offering spiritually inspired offerings, I incorporate all those decades of counseling into my spiritual counseling now. And so even though it's focused on, spiritual practices and different approaches to do with archetypes and astrology and numerology, you still have the basic approach of, what are the best tools and techniques. And so, yes, I offer spiritual counseling sessions along with a variety of past life regression and multidimensional soul reunion as my psychic awareness really expanded and I was able to tune into interdimensional realms and sort of tap into the Akasha. But I also offer a spiritual counselor certification course, and it's a 3-month course. I started an academy called Sacred, and Sacred is a spiritual academy for courses, and it's also a resource for enlightenment and divinity. So that's really what it stands for. Spiritual Academy courses, resource for enlightenment and divinity, Sacred. But it allows me to do certification courses. So currently I have a Transcendence Guide certification course and a Spiritual Counselor certification course. And then, of course, just on my own, I offer the intuitive readings, both online, live here at a spiritual center in Sedona. Also in Sedona, I offer tours. That's not the right word for it. Outdoor spiritual journeys, although I work for a company called Sedona Mystical Tours as an independent contractor because I have to be permitted to take people out on the land here in Sedona. But on my own, I offer spiritual retreats that include indoor intuitive readings, energy healing, outdoor, vortex journeys on the land with meditation, tuning people into the vortex. So it's a lot of fun to work and live here in Sedona and be able to offer those kind of things, and as well as the events.
Those are great offerings. And how long have you been in Sedona now?
Moved here in 2015, and we moved here in the summer, and by the fall, I was already offering my first retreat. So back when I lived in Northern California, I wrote my first book, Wake Up, and had a book launch event featuring not just me, but other authors, speakers, and what have you. That was really my first event way back in 2014. So here we are 10 years later. But yeah, I started offering the first fall equinox event in 2015, and now here we are in 2024, and this is going to be my 17th event. I started offering 2 equinox events a year. One is a large conference, this one upcoming in March, and the other one is really a spiritual retreat. because that's really near and dear to my heart, is to have sort of the smaller retreat in a more intimate setting. I mean, it's still, upwards of 200 to 300 people, but it's not the, 750 people, conference, large conference. So I like how the two events kind of differ. Both include outdoor journeys into Sedona's vortex sites and indoor workshops.
I love it. You've been bringing the Aquarian age through for quite a while with these group gatherings, because that's kind of where it's at these days. That, yes, the individual self-actualization and soul development, but also now the like-minded groups, which it's really good to know that you're having these gatherings so people can come out, feel the accelerations of Sedona, and then be with a group of people on a similar path. That's such a beautiful offering to the collective. And so I'm really glad to hear that that has been going on for about 10 years now, that you've been ahead of the wave here and now in a timely way provide services for people who are looking. And in your own path, how have you experienced like Sedona as a place of acceleration and the vortexes? And maybe for our listeners who have never been there, who don't really understand how it works in the energetic fields out there, what is your experience and what is the experience of some of the people that you work with and some of the people who come to these retreats? What have you noticed? What seems to be sort of across the board? What are some unique manifestations that happen for people?
Well, Jill, you hit the key word on the head, acceleration. So that was very insightful of you. It is an acceleration of consciousness here, truly. Everything feels accelerated and expanded. And so, for myself personally, I was already on the spiritual journey and writing books and had my first event and such. But when I came to Sedona, it just felt like everything expanded in so many directions, and opportunities just abound, and connections were being made, and synchronicities were unfolding, and you sort of had this miracle manifestation with miracle mindedness. And yeah, it is a very special place in that regard. I mean, energetically, it's a very high vibe energy. Clearly there's a whole science that proves the spinning vortex energy that spirals up from the Earth's spinning core through what's called lava tubes and ends up spinning on the surface as a measurable electromagnetic field. Since it's spinning, it's moving faster. And since we're electromagnetic beings, we respond to that. And there is an acceleration that expands our consciousness and connects us into portals of higher consciousness. And so, yes, you must get out on the land and experience the vortex. And that's what compelled me to include outdoor vortex journeys into my events and into my personal retreats here.
That's beautiful. And also with all this enhanced electromagnetics, it's going to bring things out of people. Like if there's some, let's say body symptoms or health issues that maybe have been hidden, that will come to the surface, as well as psychological situations that need healing or psychological complexes, patterns. So that's the beauty of having someone like you there. So when all this stuff comes to the surface, they have somebody to go to, right? To help process it all.
Thank you. Yes, people do come here certainly for healing, for transmuting, for balancing. And so, there's many of us practitioners here in Sedona that are here to serve that community. I mean, it's an internationally recognized spiritual mecca, and many spiritual practitioners have come forward to fill those roles of giving those coming here not just a spiritual experience, but a healing experience, a transformational, empowering experience in the vortex.
That's wonderful. You mentioned that you wrote that book back in 2014 or before 2014, the book that is helping people wake up. So can you tell us a little bit about that book? I'd love to hear more.
Oh, thank you, Joe, for recognizing that. Yes, well, I initially started writing 3 books at once. I had this experience out on a walking meditation where I heard a voice say, "You'll write a 30-day book on the evolution of consciousness." And I came back and told my assistant, I heard a voice and it said I was going to, and she said, 30 days is a lot. And evolution of consciousness sounds pretty heavy. And I was like, okay, well, let me figure this out. And it turned out to be 3 10-day books. And it is an evolution of consciousness, but the one book, Wake Up, is focused on the mind, liberating the mind from limiting beliefs, and it's a 10-day life lessons workshop, Awakening Through Reflection. And then the second book is for the spirit. It's deeply metaphysical. It's answering the questions about, who we are, where we came from, why we're here. It's an ascension adventure to sacred sites around the world. Rise Up, Awakening Through Revelation. And I'm in the process of finishing the third book in the trilogy, Wake Up, Rise Up, and Lighten Up. And Lighten Up is illumination through resurrection. And it's for the body. It's for activating the golden light body. And it's a spiritual retreat. So 10-day life lessons workshop, 10-day ascension adventure, and Lighten Up is a 10-day spiritual retreat.
That's great. That's amazing. Where can listeners find those books, Suzanne?
On my website, you can go to SuzanneRossTranscendence.com. You can find my books. Part of my books include meditations, breathing practices, movement, and that's all downloadable on my website. You can also purchase the books on Amazon, of course, and I also have those in Kindle format. And, of course, on my website is all my other offerings.
That's excellent. I wanted you to speak a little bit about igniting dormant DNA and the whole process of maybe reuniting in other timelines and dimensions and some of the multidimensional work you do, because this is the time for that. And I know you've been doing it for a while, and maybe it is new to some of my listeners. So I'd like you to share a little bit about the DNA work, the multidimensionality work that you do, and what maybe people can expect from that.
Thank you. Yes, I had a missing time experience off my back deck here in Sedona. I live in a little town called Rimrock, just outside of Sedona, and it overlooks Montezuma's Well, which is one of the most powerful portals in this area. And there's a whole story behind that. But in this missing time experience, me and 2 friends lost 4 hours of time. And when I integrated that experience, what started to happen was that my psychic awareness expanded like never before. I started grabbing poster board, drawing circles with 12 circles around it, and like a zodiac wheel, but these were dimensions. And then I would have these downloads of what these dimensions were, who I was being in these dimensions, my name, my role. And then I started to realize that I could do it for other people. Now, initially, it was like, isn't this a wonderful soul reunion? How exciting to reveal who you're being in other dimensions. And then I woke up one morning and had this vision, almost like a holographic image over me. And I was just about to give a presentation that day, and it was just in time for that presentation. It was showing me this isn't just a soul reunion. When you merge with a higher dimensional aspect of yourself that's more advanced and evolved, it ignites dormant DNA. It raises your love light quotient, and it advances you, giving you a quantum leap into higher consciousness. It brings more of your brain online by firing more synapses in your brain, and it ignites dormant DNA strands by downloading creation codes.
That's so cool. I'm so glad you shared that so my listeners can ponder on all of that. So my next question would be then how people can actually work with you. And I notice you offer these Feel the Love chats, Suzanne, for those who are looking for a breakthrough in their life. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so I thought it would be fun to call it Feel the Love Chat. And so it's just a good way to get started, because people will look at the 10 sessions I offer and it blows their mind, right? So they're like, whoa, where do I get started? And so we have sort of an exploratory session where it's kind of a life review, exploring where people are at on their journey, where they've been, what their goals are going forward. And from that conversation, then we can dial into how I can best serve them.
Yeah, that's a great offering and great way for you to connect in, kind of feel their vibe, have them feel, how it will be working with you. I love that. Feel the love chat. My guest is Suzanne Ross. When we come back, Suzanne, we're going to talk about the Sedona Ascension Retreat, and it's coming up March 8th through 10th, 2024. So stay tuned. Welcome to 2024. This is Jill Jardine, host of Cosmic Scene, international astrologer. Hey, go to my website, jilljardineastrology.com, to my shop page and book a reading so that you can find out what the stars have in store in 2024 for you personally. Welcome back, Suzanne. Now's the time in the episode when we want to hear about the Sedona Ascension Retreat, the one that's coming up March 8th through 10th, 2024, and how they have been in the previous years and what we can expect in this year's event.
These events have evolved over the years. I started out with a goddess retreat that was actually at an ashram here in Sedona. And so over the years, they have morphed into one large conference in the spring equinox in March, and then one spiritual retreat in the fall equinox in September. And so the March equinox event really expanded into a large conference. I wanted to invite, some of the really thought leaders in our industry, people who are best-selling authors, world-renowned speakers, and there's a reason that they are that, because they're very powerful speakers with advanced knowledge and wisdom to share. And also, since my conferences and retreats include indoor workshops and outdoor journeys, in the indoor workshops, these presenters can really interact one-on-one with people who have been following them. And so the attendees get very excited about that, one-on-one opportunity. Plus, these presenters also guide these outdoor journeys along with a permitted Sedona mystical tour guide. And so, not only do they get the chance to interact one-on-one in a workshop environment, but they get the opportunity to go into a beautiful landscape of red rocks and have breathtaking views and powerful vortex energy. So very excited about that, of course, for this upcoming retreat that takes place in just about 3 weeks now. We have some amazing guests. I put on a different show every year. So even though there might be a few repeat guests who are near and dear to my heart, I always have new and different guests. So we have Linda Moulton-Howe. So excited. I've been watching Ancient Aliens for decades now, and I really look forward to meeting her. Bashar, really world-renowned channeler. Darryl Anka channeling Bashar. And then Anita Moorjani, of course, a very well-known near-death experiencer. My friend Alan Steinfeld, New Realities TV, William Henry, Gaia TV, Ascension Keepers, Matt Kahn. Of course, he's the I Love You guy.
Yes.
And his huge YouTube sensation, right? And best-selling author. And his fiancée, Joy Kingsborough. They met at my last March event and are actually getting married on the anniversary of my last event where they met, at our speaker meet and greet.
So people are actually making intense love connections, too, at the Ascension retreats. That's good to know.
Right. Suzanne Giesman, who is a medium and a mystic, and I just love her. She's a powerhouse. The Hertogs, Doctors Desiree and JJ Hertogs are very good friends of mine, and their work is just profound. Mark Anthony is called the Psychic Explorer. He's a well-known psychic. My friend Ruben Langdon hosts interviews with Extra Dimensionals on Gaia TV, and that's how I met the next three channelers, Rob Gauthier, Wendy Kennedy, and Sean Swanson. Debbie Solaris is someone who does, interestingly enough, star race anthology. So she's studied the star races over the decades that she's been offering Galactic Akasha readings, and she's broken it down to what they look like, what the different characteristics are. So that's very fascinating. Maureen St. Germain is legendary spiritual teacher for several decades. Rob Gentle is a near-death experiencer, so is Sue Frederick. And Vivian Chavot is an Arcturian human hybrid. And my friend Brad Olson has written the Esoteric series and traveled to all 7 continents, and he's just a really great guy. So yes, I'm very excited about our lineup for this upcoming March event. We still have tickets available. We only have about a dozen journey spots left at this point. There are still seats left in some of our indoor workshops, but we are selling out. So if you want to come and join us March 8th through the 10th here in Sedona, please visit Sedona Ascension Retreats.com. You're welcome to use the discount code SuzRoss 10, SUZROSS 10 for a 10% discount.
Well, thank you so much. This is going to be a great group of presenters and New Thought teachers. It's going to be a wild, wonderful event. And I am so glad we caught you prior to it so that we could share the love with everybody and get some of our listeners to show up. And they can also, isn't there a virtual option too? Like if they can't actually make it to Sedona?
Thank you. And I just want to recognize you for being so well-versed, Jill, and really doing such great research into everything that I'm doing and offering. I don't always find that, so I just want to really take my hat off to you and thank you deeply for that. Yes, we do have a live stream ticket, and that's mostly what we're selling at this point since we're so close to the event. What's really cool about the live stream ticket is post-event, you get all the videos of all the presentations.
That's an excellent offering.
So if you weren't able to see all of it live, or say that something went with the Wi-Fi wonky and, you missed part of a presentation, you're going to get all the videos post-event.
Well, that's a great option. And can people go for one day, or do they have to commit to the whole 3-day event?
It's only a 3-day pass.
Okay,
yes.
That's also good to know for listeners. Well, I want to say the reason I know about the Sedona Ascension Fest, that I was there last year for one of the afternoons, and I had a great time. I got to meet Matt Kahn, and I got to meet Maureen St. Germain and hear their talk. So I am so excited to be back there this March. So thank you so much for coming on, Suzanne.
Well, thank you for having me on, Jill. I greatly appreciate it. I can't wait to see you in Sedona, and I hope to see some of your guests here as well.
Yes, thank you, Suzanne. See you in Sedona, and thank you for coming on Cosmic Scene.
Many blessings. Namaste.
Namaste. I hope you enjoyed this episode featuring my guest, Suzanne Ross. Remember to download, subscribe, share, and give us a 5-star review. This is Cosmic Scene with Jill Jardine, signing out, sending healing vibrations through the quantum field.